Monday Night Wars podcast.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Monday Night Wars. It is April 7th, 1997, and we are live with WCW Nitro at the Von Braun Civic Center in Huntsville, Alabama. He made the Saturn V rocket, just so you know. He was also a member of the Nazi Party. He was one of them Germans that we kidnapped, Operation Paperclip, and brought them here. But yeah, they used slave labor at Peenemünde, where he did the rockets and stuff.
Yeah, but that's okay because it's American.
He put a man. Well, Peenemünde was German. That was the Nazi German rocket site. But he put an American man on the moon, so all is forgiven. Absolutely. Anyways, let's get into it. Cause we got Tony, and we got Larry, and we got our numero uno with a cold open. We kind of go straight into this. You know, we see the highlights from last weekend, Spring Stampede. You know, Randy Savage trying to brutalize poor Kimberly here at the end of the match. He loses to DDP, and to find out how and why and more, you gotta listen to the Patreon. But I gotta tell you, he loses and he goes on a tear here, and he's gonna whop Kimberly. And Eric Bischoff comes in and says, "Whoa, bro!" And Eric Bischoff gets clocked. Is the NWO in turmoil?
Sure seems like
not for long. Yeah, but it's not, you know. Because Eric Bischoff woke up the next day and said, nah, this don't work. That was all great. Now let's completely undo it. But not yet, because we've got some matches before we get there. We've got Hugh Morris and Conan versus Alex Wright and Psychosis. Hell of a tag team.
Absolutely.
Tell me about it.
We love Alex Wright. We love Psychosis. They ain't winning this. DDP arrived earlier, as we see in a picture-in-picture, with ice taped on his shoulder, and he has a black eye, and DDP is upset, but honestly, this is a misstep. In my opinion, he should be bragging about the fact that he won, because he did win. It was a huge moment for him. Why are they having him play like he didn't? That was kind of strange to me. Morris and Conan win, which we knew would happen. It's fine, whatever. It's a decent match. Gets a C from me. It's whatever.
Yeah. Well, after that, we kind of just roll into our next match. I mean, there's that, and then we move on. We got Lord Steven Regal versus Rey Mysterio Jr., which I really like when these two guys go at it. They're kind of fun together.
Yes,
What'd you think?
This one starts abruptly with no entrances because we went to a commercial and we came back, and here we are straight into a match. Hogan, Bischoff, DiBiase, and Vincent arrive outside. Hogan says something about they're going to take care of business since either you're with the family or you're swimming with the fishes. They took away from this match to show this bullshit. Okay. How dare you interrupt our Rey Mysterio and Steven Regal time? The nerve. Anyways, Rey hits Rana, and it wasn't over because Regal kicks out. He also hits a reverse suplex yesterday at the pay-per-view, $2 a month if you want to watch that one on our Patreon. Benoit did the same move, and commentators had no idea what to call it, and they argued for minutes. Here, Shivani incorrectly names it again, so I found that funny that it happened 2 nights in a row. Clearly, Shivani never played WWF SmackDown on the PS1.
Mhm.
Regal locks in the
Yep. No,
Regal
absolutely not.
stretch, and Ray crawls to the ropes. Regal refuses to let go and gets DQ'd as Ray passes out. Prince Iaukea saves Ray, but Regal just hooks him in a Regal stretch too, and the refs come out and to get him off. Regal has left both men knocked out in the ring. This is exactly the Regal we have needed for months. This is also an actual storyline and a rare good one in WCW right now. I'm giving this an A plus.
It's the angle Scott always asks for and never
Yeah,
gets, so I'm
yeah,
pleased. It will probably go nowhere. At some point, they'll just decide they're done with it, but I like it right now because it's the storyline I always want and never get. So we got that. But as you mentioned, we cut away because Hulk Hogan and the NWO arrived, or at least some of them arrived, and Hulk Hogan was mumbling something about family business.
yeah.
Well, after the match, we get another limo arriving. And this one's got Kevin Nash in it and Michael Wall Street and other people we don't give a shit about. But Kevin Nash is there.
Mach is there.
And
Mach is there
so
too.
is March in this one? Is March in this one?
Yeah,
Okay.
he's got the crutches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I didn't write that down. I just wrote Kevin Nash. I wrote Kevin Nash and the other guys because there's a lot of NWO guys that shouldn't be NWO guys.
Yes.
But yeah, so it seems like there might be trouble in paradise. This is exciting. I'm so excited. We've got a new angle with the NWO. I can't wait to find out more.
Yeah.
But first, we got Ice Train and Chris Benoit. I will say this entire night, every
Mhm.
single person on the card I have heard of. This might be a first for WCW that I know who these people are. I don't have to put on my peepers for anybody tonight. At least on WCW. Let's see me on WCW. Yeah, I got to put my peepers on WWF. But WCW, we got people I've heard of. Chris Benoit versus Ice Train, and I gotta say, I'm so sorry, Ice Train, that this
I
happened to you.
know. I my first note
You
is
see
our
that
boy.
car, you see that, and you go, no.
Yeah. My first note is our boy Ice Train gonna get jobbed. Also, speaking of Ice Train, this is probably his worst gear. He looks like a black snow miser, which I laughed out loud seeing his gear. In the back, Hogan is challenging the NWO to speak their minds. Mach starts arguing with Bischoff, DiBiase, and Hogan. The only two notable things are that Kevin Nash actually walks away during this segment to emphasize his separation. And the other is that Mach
Mhm.
calls DiBiase a freaking rocket scientist over here, which I laughed so fucking hard at.
At the
Benoit,
Von Braun Center, no
yeah,
less.
Benoit wins with the DDT that Shivani calls a front DDT. I don't know why. It's just a standard DDT. Match is fine. You get to see nothing huge to write home about.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. We knew it was gonna happen, but it was fine. After that, we get some tape from Dennis Rodman and Jean-Claude Van Damme's world premiere of Double Team. Very exciting stuff. I should go watch Double Team. I wonder
No.
if Double Team is available anywhere. No, I shouldn't go watch it, or it's not available anywhere.
Either. Who cares?
I'm putting it in the computer machine right now. IMDb Double Team. I'm looking, bro. I'm gonna see where it's available, and I'm gonna watch it, and I'm gonna get back to the listeners on this. 4.8 out of 10 stars, which is not terrible for a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie. Unfortunately, though, it is not available anywhere. I can get it on Prime for $3.99, and I don't care that much. If it ain't free, I ain't watching.
Yeah. I mean,
So
if it's not at least under the amount of cost that it costs to subscribe to our Patreon, it's not worth it.
that's true.
That
That's
don't
true.
fit
Yeah,
in the budget.
this is 2 months of Patreon subscriptions down the tubes right here to watch
Yeah.
Double Team. Yeah, no, I'm gonna pass on it, but yeah, that was that, and then we get Rodman and Hogan doing a promo together, and it's terrible. Yeah, okay. I thought you were shaking your head. No, it's not terrible. I think they're drunk or something. It's nuts how bad this promo
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. I got nothing. My give up.
A sa- Man, you are out. Okay, then we'll just go on to our next match, bro, because we got Kevin Sullivan versus Hector Guerrero. Ooh, I like it. Tell me.
Mhm. Hector Guerrero looks like the Guerrero that will tell you stories about your ancestors while you go to sleep. I do think Hector is the most underrated Guerrero. Jacqueline
What?
keeps beating up Hector, and then Sullivan wins. It gets a D for me.
Yeah, it's funny though. Hector, like looking at Hector in 97
Mhm.
is basically just Eddie in like 10 years. Like I'm looking into the future and it's Eddie.
Tell me he doesn't look like the person, like your uncle who will just tell you stories about, like, previous family members. Like, he looks like he should be in Coco too. Like, he should be the one who's
Yeah,
just telling about all the new things you never heard about. That should be his role.
he's just he's the dude at the birthday at the birthday party holding the Modelo and he goes, hey, Mio. And you come over and then he just starts telling you and you're just like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
you go, Tio Hector, I gotta go. Hey, just let me finish, all right? You're just like, I've been to some of those parties.
I know you have, yeah. You grew up in a very Hispanic neighborhood.
Yeah, like my high school was like 80%
Yeah,
Hispanic, so all my friends were Hispanic.
yeah.
So
And I'm
I
half
have been to
Mexican. I'm half
yeah.
Mexican, but my mom didn't let us go hang out with that side of the family. So, there you go.
Yeah, I've probably had more interactions with Latinos than you have.
You've probably had, so, okay, this is true story. The reason that me and Scott became friends is actually through my cousin, who is one of your friends that you went to college with, correct? Her and
With
her
college, yep.
husband? Yeah. Uh,
Mhm.
you've probably spent more time with my cousin than I have.
That tells you something. That tells you something. And we know she's a big fan of the pod.
Absolutely. Fantastic
I think she
person.
actually did
Rachel, if
listen
you're watching, love you.
I think she actually did listen to an episode or 2. She
That's fine.
tried. She gave it the
That's
college
nice of
try and
her.
just like, "I don't
Yeah,
know what's going on."
yeah,
Yeah, she, like, sent me a photo of it, and she's like, "I don't understand any of this." And I was like, "Hey, well, thanks for listening,"
yeah.
you know? But it is what it is. Well, anyways, back to, it's done talking about your drunk uncle at the quinceañera. But let's get rolling. I've been to those, and I've seen the drunk uncles. It's a thing. You
Mhm.
have to have the drunk uncles
Absolutely.
or it's not a
Are
party.
you really Mexican? Yeah, come on. Yeah.
Until someone's peeing on the wall, it's not a party. It's just a fact. Anyways, here we go. Here we go. The NWO.
Nah.
This is it. This is where we
Yep.
solve everything. I think, right? Is this where we solve everything?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Tell me about it. They're all
I
they're
get
joining together to hash it out.
I get so annoyed by the NWO storyline that every time I have to write notes about it, I just call it NWO shenanigans because it's, like, never anything, like, of substance recently. So, okay, real quick sum up. 1, watch or listen to the episode on our Patreon, $2 a month. 2, the the storyline since last week has essentially been Nash is upset, and there seems to be a dissension between the NWO, and so they're so he kind of it seems like he's either trying to split away or take over. We don't know which one. So a week later, we decide to address that. So notably, they come out in two separate waves to denote that this is kind of two teams in the NWO. DiBiase says there's turmoil in the family, but they're going to end it. This storyline in the NWO has lasted literally 1 week, and this is majorly rushed. This is a 3-month storyline at best, and they've packaged it into a week. Absolutely nuts. Hogan challenges the NWO and says the word is out that Nash has a problem with Hogan being gone in Chicago last week. Nash says he has no problem with Rodman, but he sat in a hotel room on Easter Sunday with Six, and he is sorry that he was a little grouchy. By the way, did not realize that it was Easter Sunday. Well, anyways, Hogan says next Easter, he'll make sure that Nash gets to go on an NWO Easter hunt. What? Nash just nods at this, which is fucking wild. Hogan
Why
asks
wouldn't you?
why isn't Hall here? Oof, I hate this. Nash says that he has known Scott Hall for 7 years and Hall is NWO for life. Hogan says if the rules haven't changed, the family is still a family. He says by looking in Nash's eyes, he can see that he's burning a hole right through him. So that means either Nash and his compadres are in this for life, like he said, or that he and Hogan need to do the thing right now. Nash says he doesn't have to love him to respect him in Detroit, where Nash is from. He's only as big as his word, so he's keeping his word. Mach is upset, and Hogan grabs the mic again and is about to address Mach when the crowd chants, "We want Sting." Hogan says, "You people don't understand. Sting is on the borderline of getting stung." Mach,
Boom.
bro, what? Like, also, you have fake Sting right there. Why don't you just point at him and be like, "We've got Sting"?
Sting.
That would have been perfect. It was right there.
I think I love fake Sting if they did something with him. I think it's hilarious that they just got this guy dressed like Sting. But they don't do anything with him. It's just stupid.
So after that, Hogan says that if he and Nash, he's addressing Mach, if he and Nash can see things the same way, then he tells Mach and Bischoff to bury the hatchet. And then Mach says, "Here's the deal. I'm willing to go with the flow, but just like you're on probation with Ted Turner, you're on probation with me, and in turn, I'm on probation with you. Is that cool?" And then Bischoff says, "That works for me." I hate this whole entire fucking thing. It's so poorly executed and killed the literal only interesting storyline NWO has literally had in months. And they've killed it in a week. In 1 week, they got rid of this storyline. That was so actually like, oh, cool, this could be going somewhere. And they just got rid of it. It gets a complete F for me. Absolutely batshit.
Yeah, we had some dissension in the ranks. We had some factions splitting apart here. Maybe I thought we were getting the Wolf Pack, but we didn't. It's fixed.
Well, also,
Beef
real
washed?
quickly, they had the potential to do something that I feel like you might like, which is Nash and Six, and later on Scott Hall, when he comes back, are the new blood of the NWO taking over, and they're kicking out all the old guys, and then it becomes, here are the old wrestlers versus the young wrestlers, and it's a story as old as time, and all you had to do was that right there. It was right there teed up for you, and you just don't know what you're doing with it. I hate
I
this.
love it. It's not good. Hour number 2! We got Tony, Mike Tenay, and Bobby Heenan. We got Ric Flair joining Mean Gene for a modern, recent Ric Flair promo, which is not good. Talks about Rowdy Piper and NWO, and they got Kevin Green. And that's about it.
I will say I enjoyed this one a little bit more. So Flair just goes into Hot Rod and the Nature Boy bonding. He says NWO knows what they are ready to play ball, that they are ready to play ball one more time. Flair introduces Piper. Piper says the doctor gave Flair a note saying that he can come out and play again. Flair asks Piper, how was the lady last week that he asked Piper to fuck? That's literally what happened. Piper glosses over this. Piper glosses over this because dude's actually a family man, and not about that. Piper does the old, because they're in Huntsville, Alabama, he does the old banjo ding 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 thing, which I laughed at, which is good. And then Flair says Kevin Green is going to join them, and Piper calls the NWO a snake and says, "Off with the head." He says, "Let's get me to the extreme with Kevin Green." Kind of rhymes. Kevin Green comes out.
Yeah.
Kevin Green comes out and fawns over Piper and Flair. He wants them to know he has their back. Then he does up downs until Blue is no longer tired or thirsty. That's a really good movie.
I love
If
it.
you don't, I love that movie. Nate and Piper have been a bore of late, and this just kind of felt like a bit of a return to form because they're just a little bit more fun. Like it seems like they're finally having fun in this. I was frankly happy watching this. I'm giving it a B plus.
It's
No, it's not
not back
perfect,
to where
but
I need Rick to
no,
be.
I agree. I agree. But it feels like they actually had fun here, which has been a long time.
Yeah, it's better. It certainly is better. After that, we got a U.S. title match. The WCW United States Champion, Dino Malenko, versus Christopher Jericho. That's a pretty good match. Tell me.
It is, except for it ends surprisingly quickly when Dean Malenko just kicks Jericho in the face. Apparently, Jericho broke his nose. I don't really know what happened, and it just ends. So, unfortunately, I got to give it a D because it really doesn't last more than like a minute. It's insane how quickly it ends.
Yeah, I think he might have actually gotten hurt. I think
Something,
that's
yeah.
maybe why we're.
I don't
Yeah, I
know
think
really what happened, but it definitely didn't seem normal.
something happened. Something happened. But after that, we got High Voltage versus Public Enemy. That's all right. Is someone getting put through a table, though? Tell me.
Well, let's see. I'll just read my notes and we'll find out. High voltage win when Grunge puts himself
Yes.
through a
Yes.
table.
Yeah.
Okay. And one of the high voltage guys hits a Northern Lights suplex on Rocco Rock. Mean Gene interviews the pair, being Public Enemy, not High Voltage, who just won, Public Enemy. And Grunge
Yes.
says, "Hey, sometimes that happens." Then Rocco says, "High Voltage, you did good, but you may have started something you can't finish." They challenge High Voltage next week to a street fight in Philadelphia. So we are going to hear nonstop EC dub chants, which I'm not insulting. That's fine. But this
Yeah.
was boring, and I gave it an F.
Well, they also said they're going to put the E in WCW. They did say that
Yeah, I mean it fits, right?
at their, and it's and it's not and their match next week is not just any match. It's a Philly street fight.
Yeah.
So
I
they're
mean,
going. I mean, they're going.
what is a W except for a sideways E?
That's true. That's big. That's big. They're gonna make WCW WEW. Oh, love it. Love it. Love it. After that, though, we go to Prince Iakea, who got his shit beat, and so he's getting his ribs taped up because he's
Oh,
hurt. That's how you know. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then we get Harlem Heat versus Jeff Jarrett and Steve Mongo McMichael. Oh boy.
Mongo decides to not come out, and it's just Deborah and Jarrett. Deborah goes to look for Mongo midway through this match, and she can't find him. This match lasts forever, which is baffling. Last night, both members of Harlem Heat had a shot at a match for the WCW world title, and now they can't put away by himself Jeff Jarrett. Okay. Mongo finally walks down calmly and gets tagged in. Then he just steamrolls Harlem Heat. He tags
Mm-hmm.
back in Jarrett, who walks into a Harlem sidekick and finally loses. Why did you make Harlem Heat look so weak? There are maybe two tag teams that should be protected at this point, and that's the Steiners and Harlem Heat. This is insane booking. Mean Gene interviews Mongo and Deborah, again, the losers, and Jarrett is irate, says he's sick and tired of Mongo. Jarrett says that Mongo never missed a game in his career, and he, Jarrett, has never missed a match. It's kind of not true. It's a whole other story. Deborah starts to talk, but Mongo cuts her off. He says he loves pain and everyone should be very afraid. Fucking what? I hate the story, but that promo from Mongo didn't even have anything to do with what was going on. This gets an F. It's horrible.
To the point where the announcers even note that Mongo's reply is absolutely indecipherable. Yeah, because Jarrett's pissed about losing. He said, he's, where were you? Mongo starts talking about football.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make any sense. And then he threatens Jarrett. And then he ends with a threat. And the announcers are like, what?
Yeah.
And then we're done.
We need
I
to pick
hate
me up,
this.
Scott.
It's
You need to
terrible.
pick me up.
It's almost like you know what's coming next. Because you do, because you have it in your notes. Lee Marshall.
Wow. Way to blow it. Way to blow the magic.
What? What?
They
It's Lee
don't know that I've
Marshall.
got it on my notes right here. They have no idea.
Yes, they do.
Can they see
Yes,
my
they
screen?
do.
Can they see my
Yep.
screen?
In your glasses, kind of.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I can see a little bit of a reflection there.
All right, read my notes. What does it say?
It says Lee Marshall, 1-800-COLLECT road report.
I always have it as on the road with Lee Marshall. Loser.
Don't at me, bro. Don't at me. Anyways, he's in Philly and he's having some Philly cheesesteaks. And yeah, you gotta. And there might be some weaseling going on, don't you think?
Yeah, that's true. But he does mention a few other things. First off, he mentions that Philly is the home of a ton of history and the birthplace of Kevin Bacon, Will Smith, and Public Enemy. He says, right about now, people expect him to make a wisecrack about weasels, but he won't do that. He says, but Bobby, you do need to know that he made a horrible grammatical error. The people of Philadelphia are not happy with Bobby at all. Because you remember when you told everybody about those small wooden houses along the river? They're not what you thought. They're used for storing boats. Weasel, you idiot. What you want them to say is Philadelphia sure has a lot of ore houses. My God, that joke was a journey. It went all over the place to get there, but I fucking loved it, and it gets an A+.
It's so dumb and we love it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's the only redeeming thing on WCW.
It's true.
Sometimes.
Bro, what if
Lee
Marshall is the new leader of the NWO?
God, that'd be hot though, bro. I'd be all for it. And now we come to our main event. Well, I guess it's not technically our main event, but it is our main event. No. We got the Yeah.
Don't we have 2 matches left? Oh,
yeah,
we got the Giant versus Scott Steiner. Okay. Yeah. I see what you're saying. Okay, might be.
Yeah. It's not our main event, but
but kind of, yeah.
WCW World Television Championship, Ultimo Dragon versus Prince Iaukea.
Yeah.
Tell me.
As we all know, Iaukea means ultimate in Spanish. Iaukea is hurt after the attack from Regal earlier. Dragon eventually targets the ribs and wins easily once he does this. And he's the new TV champion. Give it a C. It's not horrible. It's not great, but it's like, it works for what they're trying to do. So that's what I'm going to give it. It's just kind of a simple, kind of down the middle thing.
Is that it?
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing else to say.
Oh. Shit, I hadn't even thought of a segue yet. It's time for our main event. It's the Giant versus Scott Steiner. But it's not, because the Dungeon of Doom attacks everybody.
Yep.
So tell me about it.
Here's my favorite part of that. Here's my favorite part about this. This match, they have been teasing the whole night. The whole night, they've been letting you know, main event, Giant versus Scott Steiner. Stick around, Giant versus Scott Steiner. And then they just throw it out. Okay, gets an
Yeah, immediately. Yeah, they attack Scott as he's coming down. Dungeon of Doom, and then Giant like chases them off.
Yeah.
But it's over. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And then Diamond Dallas Page comes out to talk instead. So tell me.
Well, he walks out, he's banged up, and he doesn't walk out with music. It's so much so that they didn't expect him to walk out. He just walks out with no music and with a mic. He says last night in the main event, he faced one of the biggest superstars in wrestling. He says if you asked anybody just 2 years ago if DDP could be a main eventer, they would say, "Are you nuts?" This is true, actually. But he says he is an anomaly and something that wasn't supposed to happen. But he did happen, and he happened to Savage. It started at Uncensored when you spray painted NWO all over Kimberly. But last night, when you were dragging her by her hair and you were going to smack my wife upside the head, if I had found you, sucker, I would have killed you. Again, Scott almost killed the guy for shoulder checking his wife. So I get where DDP is coming from. DDP says that sometimes winning isn't just enough. He says they're both hurt. If Savage has any guts to come out right now so they can get it on. NWO music hits and Mach comes out on crutches and then Hogan stops him. And he says, "Look, we're a family. This one's on me." And he starts heading towards the ring. And then Sting comes down from the rafters and stands between the NWO and DDP with his bat. He tosses a bat to DDP, and then he pulls out another bat, which was fantastic. I wish he just kept pulling out bats. Like, where are they coming from? It would have been awesome. He enters the ring and he challenges the NWO to come to the ring, and they won't, and we fade to black. Loved this segment. One of the few things I genuinely loved on the night. Gets an A from me.
Probably the best thing of the night, for sure. At least from a WCW perspective. But let's see what we got over on the WWF. Because we're in the Worthen Arena.
Oh, wow.
WORTHEN, Worthen Arena in Muncie, Indiana. Hell of a town for WWF Raw. And let's get into it. That's it. That's all I got. Good night, everybody. No, it's Owen Hart and the British Bulldog versus the Godwins. That's our first match. 7 minutes, 12 seconds. And I think, I don't have anything before that. So that's what happened.
Owen tells the U.S. fans to shut up and let him talk. He says, without his brother Brett, their family is filled with love. He calls the fans morons and idiots and selfish. He tells Shawn Michaels that when he comes out later on to say a few words, he better keep Brett's name out of his mouth or else they will come out and attack him. Shawn gets a pick and says he will probably upset Owen and a whole lot of other people. After all, this is live TV. Owen and Bulldog during the match clearly look on the same page, which they haven't for months. Legion of Doom get a picture-in-picture and are asked about their upcoming match. Animal says that their first mistake was getting down on the USA, and at the pay-per-view, you may see new WWF Tag Team Champions. Tell him, Hawk. And then Hawk says, well, what we're going to do is knock the ever so rancid bile right out of their bladders. Love it. Fantastic. Owen and Bulldog win during this.
Weird anatomical stuff.
Yeah.
And I love it.
It's great. It's great every time. Owen and Bulldog win during this. The Godwins are upset. Bulldog and Owen vacate the ring, but Legion of Doom show up right behind them. They get sandwiched between LOD and the Godwins. Henry Godwins decides to slop Owen and Bulldog, but they duck, and he misses them, and he hits LOD. So the Road Warriors attack the Godwins as we head to commercial. Coming back from commercial, Owen and Bulldog cut a promo. Owen says they will embarrass Legion of Doom even worse than they just did while being slopped. He says in England and Canada, they're civilized. They don't have things like slop buckets. Bulldog wants to keep watching the replay of them being slopped over and over. Like every 5 seconds, he's like, can we see it again? And then they just turn and watch it again and then go back to their promo. While this is happening, Stone Cold is actually shouting at them because he's on the way to the ring for his match. And they get really upset about Stone Cold shouting at them. Now, this is a clear defined cut on this segment before we go into that match. Grading everything Owen and Bulldog, I'm giving them an A. From fucking start to finish, they were fantastic. I love this opening segment on Raw.
Well, let's get into that match because some very important things happen. What?
Go ahead.
You did the head thing. You did the head thing like something bad's about to happen. And I mean, it's a
Yeah.
Stone Cold Steve Austin match. What could possibly be wrong with a Stone Cold
Yeah.
Steve Austin match?
Well, I could tell the
Well,
people what could be wrong with the Stone Cold Steve Austin match if you'd so like, Scott.
no, I think I'll share it with them.
Okay,
I
go
think
ahead.
I'll tell them
Okay.
because we have our honky tonk protege. It has happened, ladies and gentlemen. Honky Tonk comes out with Billy Gunn, who will become known as Rockabilly,
Mhm.
and he is the Honky Tonk Man's protege. And this sucks. And they do this for like 6 months.
Yeah.
And they have a rivalry. And Billy Gunn and Jesse James have a rivalry because Jesse James spurned the Honky Tonk Man when the Honky Tonk Man wanted him to be his rival. And so that happens for a while. And it just makes me mad that these two are together, but they're not. And anyways, Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Billy Gunn, Rockabilly, 6 minutes, 11 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, he's not
Uh,
rockabilly just yet. During this match, Bulldog and Owen get a picture-in-picture, and they're upset at Austin for interrupting their good laugh, according to Bulldog. Owen says, "If you want to poke your nose in our business, we can poke our nose into yours." Austin wins this with a stunner, and then Honky Tonk enters the ring with a mic to talk to Billy. Honky tells Billy that he has watched hundreds of hours of videotape on Billy. He also says he has always been Honky's first choice, regardless of last week with Jesse James. Okay, he says Billy just needs a little help and he wants him to join
mm.
Honky. So if hold on, so why did you come out with him then if he's not your guy? So then Billy has a chance to respond to this, at which point he hits Honky and then walks out. Now, you might be going, "Wait a minute, Scott, didn't you just say that Billy Gunn and Honky Tonk will be together?" Yes, they will. He hits Honky, and then somehow they end up together. Didn't like it. Didn't like it. Gave it a D. Don't like.
Yeah, I don't. This is a WWF's doing pretty well right now. I feel like we're
Overall,
starting
the
to
night will
kind
be
of
good, but we got some slips for sure.
we're starting to hit.
Yeah.
We're starting to hit a lot more than we're missing on WWF. And then we do this, and this overstays its welcome. I mean, it already overstayed its welcome. It should have never happened. But this goes on for just such a seemingly long time.
Well,
And it's so
also
bad.
Honky Tonk Man is cousins with Jerry Lawler, which is I assume how this was allowed to happen because this like Honky Tonk Man has no business in 1997 WWF.
Did Jerry just say like, "Hey, he needs some money"?
I don't know. I haven't looked into it
That might
beyond the
be
fact that
it.
they're
Because
cousins.
I wouldn't be surprised if Jerry was like, "Hey, he needs some money." Because I mean, that's what they did with the Executioner,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Dude needs some money. So I mean, I respect it. I respect that they look after people,
Yeah.
but do it in a way that doesn't suck. Just put Honky Tonk Man on commentary. Put him on shotgun. Make Honky Tonk a commentator on Shotgun Saturday Night.
There you go. That'll work.
Done.
Yeah.
Gets a paycheck. It's fine. We don't need this. Terrible. After that, though, Doc Hendricks wants you to buy an Undertaker poster. It's pretty sick. You should buy it. And that's it. Yeah. And then oh man, right after.
Yep. Yeah.
So we have the creation of Rockabilly, which is terrible. And then we immediately go into the Commandant.
Mhm.
Uh I guess have we talked about this? Is this the first
This is
appearance
the
of the Commandant?
debut of the Commandant. Yeah.
Okay. Then I guess we need some explanation, right? Because the Commandant is an actor. He's not even a wrestler.
Yes.
He's an
Yeah.
actor from South Africa. He knew somebody. I can't even remember the context now. Do you have the history on this?
I don't because I hate this so much. I
He
didn't want to
know
look into it.
he knows somebody. This might be a Bret Hart thing. Hold on. I don't wanna give
All right,
Bret Hart a
while
bad
you're looking
rap.
while you're looking that up, I'll say what happened.
Yeah,
So he
explain it. Yeah, I'm gonna Google
so
machine this.
Commandant debuts for the first time. They're gonna be in South Africa next week on Raw. If memory serves, that Raw is not very good, unfortunately. But this is why we have the South African kind of connection here. So, if you didn't know about South Africa and a little thing that I like to call apartheid, you should probably look into that. So that's kind of the thing that they're playing on here because he is a white man from South Africa and he is apparently leader of the Truth Commission. He's the commandant of the Truth Commission. We don't know who the Truth Commission is. He just mentions them a few times, and he says that the Truth Commission has had an objective study on the long-term effects of democracy in America. He says that criminals run the U.S., which is technically true nowadays. Look, this is an
Whoa!
anti-American promo, and this guy will disappear for literal months. He's gonna be gone after this, but he's not gone forever. He's gone for months, and then out of nowhere, the Truth Commission shows up again. So while this is going on, the crowd is like, "What the fuck?" I'm like, "What the fuck?" It's really dumb. But on top of that, you just can't do two anti-USA gimmicks at the same time. It just doesn't work. You got one's working. You can't add another one on top of that. And this will segue right into the Bret Hart vignette that happens right after this, but I'm gonna let Scott hit you with some knowledge first on the Commandant.
So I was 100% right. Bret Hart had gone to South Africa, and he met him there, and he recommended him for a role as a manager in the WWF. And I guess maybe because they were gonna do some shows in South Africa, and we're gonna talk about that because they do it on a Raw, right? It's an
Mhm.
episode of Raw, and it's really
Next
bad
Raw.
production quality.
Yeah, next Raw is
Yeah,
from
it's
South
really
Africa.
bad production quality and everything. But yeah, so I guess that this is part of that. The problem is like the Truth Commission. I think is a take on. They had a commission in South Africa called like the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, and their job was to like investigate apartheid and the things that had happened during apartheid and like come up, bad things and like
Yeah,
present what had happened and try to bring the country together and all that, white and black together. Because for 100 years, apartheid had been white rule,
mhm.
minority white rule in South Africa. And so the Truth Commission apparently seems to be a take on that, but it's like the whites are right. Like there seems to be kind of an
Yeah.
undertone of like
Well, as you know, Scott, when it comes to like,
white people should be in charge in South Africa, which doesn't seem a great angle when you're going to South Africa, which is no longer under apartheid. And I
well,
just
as you know, Scott, if when it comes to the ability to be very, you know, just caring and empathetic and really being able to handle civil rights issues very well, the first person that comes to mind to me is Vincent Kennedy McMahon.
absolutely,
Just
absolutely.
he's so
I
good
will
at it.
I will say when they go to South Africa, I do recall the crowd being exceptionally white. So maybe this plays, maybe this plays with the WWF crowd in South Africa. I don't know, but it's bad and it continues to be bad. Yeah, and you're right. And they disappear and then he comes back and at some point this turns into like he gets replaced by like Don Callis. Uh, Don Callis
Oh
becomes the
yeah,
like
yeah.
leader of this faction. Yeah, as the Jackal.
The Jackal,
And then
yeah.
we also get yeah, and then we also get, the really tall guy who his name's Kurgan or something like that, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah, Kurgan.
do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, Kurgan,
Yeah,
who's actually an
who's
actor
better
as well. Yeah.
yeah, who's known better in the oddities and stuff, so he'll show up
Yeah.
and,
If you don't know who
yeah.
Kurgan is, if you've watched the Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes movie, he's the big guy that, Sherlock Holmes zaps a number of times, that's Kurgan.
Yeah. You get some people that become things, out of this, but, but not yet but not through the Truth Commission. Anyways, There's a Shawn Michaels promo after this.
Well, we got a Bret Hart vignette real quick between those two things.
That's true. Yeah,
Brett Brett Brett
you've got
really
Brett and
quickly.
Shawn.
Yeah, Brett really quickly. He's in South Africa during this, and where he said where they understand respect or whatever. He calls Austin a hyena again. This is on like the worst camcorder footage ever. He says U.S. fans can't comprehend truth and justice. He says Sid has $1 million body with a 10-cent brain. Okay, whatever. Gets a D. Then we go to Shawn Michaels.
Well, again, though, the Bret Hart thing, because I remember this now because I was kind of like, what? Because he's saying this stuff about, again, South Africa, and like they understand respect or whatever, and I'm like, is this a white thing again? Like, what is the angle here? I don't know what they're trying to do, and I feel like you
No,
gotta be careful with this.
you're reaching on the Bret Hart thing. The Bret Hart thing is literally just the U.S. doesn't understand respect, and every other country does. That's all the Bret Hart.
But they
is.
do in South Africa?
Again, every other country, that's the whole angle, is that every other country understands respect, just not America. That's all Bret Hart's drive is in this.
Even South Africa?
Oh my God, Scott.
I get it. I'm just saying. Whatever. Go on. Let's talk about Shawn Michaels.
Shawn Michaels comes out. Vin Man asks Shawn about Bret Hart's attack on Michaels. This is the longest segment of the week, by the way. Vin Man asked Shawn Michaels about Bret Hart's attack on Michaels the other week and what the setback looks like for his injury. Shawn says that he would like to use his First Amendment rights to tell the world what is going on with him. He says he opened up his big mouth and got beat up. He says regularly that would be a big deal. But if you're Shawn Michaels, that's like waking up, going to eat your breakfast, eating your dinner. It's an everyday thing. I jack my jaw, somebody smacks me around, we fight about it, and that's how I make my living. Now, meanwhile, Bulldog and Owen are watching in the back. Then we go back to Shawn, and he goes, was it a setback? Yes. When am I coming back? Not going to tell you. But what I will tell you is this. Bret Hart has come out here time and time again telling the fans of the World Wrestling Federation that he wants to get stuff off his chest. And now I want to get stuff off of my chest. Everyone is asking, why is Bret Hart all of a sudden a bad guy? Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm not going to lie to you. Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels loathe one another, whether it be out here or back there. Make no mistake about it. Bret Hart hates my guts, and to be perfectly honest, I hate his. Now, we're going to take the gloves off here. Bret Hart has not just recently turned into a bad guy. He's always been a bad guy. He comes out here and he talks about how there are no family values in America, how the World Wrestling Federation exploited his family. Well, I've got news for you, ladies and gentlemen. Bret Hart is the one that asked his mother and his father to be on TV. Bret Hart is the one that drags his sister and his children out on TV. The World Wrestling Federation exploits Bret Hart's family because he allows it. And the reason he allows it is for Bret Hart's own financial gain. If Bret Hart can make a buck, he'd sell his mother. That's the truth. Now, Bret Hart also has an obsession with Shawn Michaels and the World Wrestling Federation Championship. Last year, I won the World Wrestling Federation Championship fair and square. But I want to digress to 6 years ago when Shawn Michaels first started his singles career and became the Intercontinental Champion. That's when Bret Hart also became the World Wrestling Federation champion. I ran support to him. I told everybody, including his family, that I supported him. I was second fiddle to Bret Hart for years, and I did it with a smile on my face because that's what a man does when it comes to business. But then when it came time for Bret Hart to return the favor, oh yeah, he did it, but he did it kicking and screaming every inch of the way. And then Bret Hart takes time off. He says because he needs rest. What he did was take time off to see if Shawn Michaels and the World Wrestling Federation would fall flat on their face without him. Well, guess what? We didn't fall face flat anywhere. As a matter of fact, the World Wrestling Federation did the best business it has done in 6 years. You're the boss, and he points at Vin Man. Am I right or am I wrong? And Vin Man says, you're right. Thank you very much. But Bret Hart, he sat in Calgary and passed judgment on Shawn Michaels. He told everybody about my faults, and believe me, folks, I got a truckload of faults, but I have never ever lied about any of that to you. He talked about my dancing. How could the fans of the World Wrestling Federation cheer a wrestler who dances, who has long hair, who pierces his navel, who has tattoos? How could fans of the World Wrestling Federation support something like that? Well, it's real simple. They liked it, you idiot. And he stares right into the camera at this, and I laughed. But the whole time, I don't say anything. I go on doing my job. And Bret Hart, while he's at home, talks about his loyalty to WWF fans. And that's ultimately what made him return to the World Wrestling Federation. Well, that is a load of horse shit. The reason that Bret Hart returned to the World Wrestling Federation after using a rival organization against this man and the company that made him was this. He stabbed the World Wrestling Federation in the back. Why? For his financial gain. Bret Hart did not come back to the World Wrestling Federation for his fans. He came back for the almighty dollar. A fan shouts, "What about you?" And then Shawn Michaels says, "I'll tell you about me. I got more money getting thrown at me than you could possibly imagine. I'm the hottest free agent in the business today. Every time I take a day off, every time I get hurt, my phone is ringing off the hook. But you know what? I'm not in it for the money. I've got money. I do it because I think that this is one hell of a man." And he points at Vin. And he deserves to have somebody work his ass off for him. And I'm that guy. Now, Bret Hart, we're all wondering, why are you so upset and why are you obsessed with the World Wrestling Federation Championship? I tell you, I wanted to be the World Wrestling Federation champion since I was a little kid. It was my dream. Bret Hart is obsessed with the World Wrestling Federation Championship because he was born into it. If Bret Hart wasn't a world champion, he would feel like he had fallen short. When he comes home to Calgary, he is still Bret the Hitman Hart, former World Wrestling Federation champion. Shawn Michaels, when he goes home, he's not the Heartbreak Kid. He's not Shawn Michaels. He's just plain old Shawn. Bret, you're the Hitman 24 hours a day. And the reason for that is Bret Hart cannot separate all of this from his real life. That's why he brings his family in it, and that's why he brings his friends in it. Bret Hart is obsessed with being in the limelight more than I could possibly ever imagine. Well, Bret Hart, your obsession with the World Wrestling Federation. And then he goes, and by the way, for the people at home, if you can't hear, there are various people here yelling for Bret, yelling for Bret that, yelling for Bret this. And my point is this. At one time, to hear all of that used to upset me. It bothered me to hear people boo me or say we want Bret, but I finally realized the fans of the World Wrestling Federation are allowed to express their First Amendment rights whenever they want. So if you want to yell for Bret, yell for Bret. If you want to yell for Sid, yell for Sid. If you want to yell for me, yell for me. I'm telling you people this. Do not under any circumstances let some wrestler, some superstar come out here and tell you what to do. In our country, we can do whatever the hell we want. I do it, so you might as well do it too. A lot of World Wrestling Federation superstars have placed themselves as a role model or a superstar. Well, you know what? Everyone that I've seen has fallen short. Moms and dads, I'm not a role model. I'm not telling you to have your children grow up to be like me. But what I am telling you is this. If you're going to plop your money down for your children to enjoy the World Wrestling Federation, rest assured that there is one guy that knows how much you're spending. And every time you put it down, whether you scream, yell, or boo, I'm coming out here working my ass off, whether anybody likes it or not. And for you, Bret Hart, your obsession with me and the World Wrestling Federation Championship will ultimately be, and I want you to read my lips, it will ultimately be your destruction. Then Shawn starts to dance around. Owen and Bulldog head to the ring, and Shawn grabs a chair to keep them each at bay. He sits on the chair and challenges them to come in the ring as we cut to commercial. Now that's the end of this segment, and this should be an A. But it goes on a little too long. And I have to admit that. Shawn goes on way too long. He's doing really well. He's doing some, as we call it, inside baseball stuff where he's starting to get very personal about it. Yeah. Where it goes too long is this, when he acknowledges that some of the fans are chanting for Bret Hart. Once that happens, he falls short and he starts rambling. Everything to that point was really good because there's a point where he goes, your obsession with the World Wrestling Federation. And then he goes, and by the way, for people of you at home who can't hear, there are various people here yelling this for Bret and that for Bret. that's where he lost it. Because the end of the promo, he goes back to, your obsession will ultimately be your destruction. That's how he was trying to end it. He was just about to end it, and that would have been an A. But then he goes on a long diatribe about that because that ticked him off in that moment. So that was a mistake. Should be an A, but unfortunately it's not. But he does make some great points throughout it. I mean, some can be countered, like for instance, did the best business in 6 years. That's hard to quantify. People will immediately go to pay-per-view buys and they'll go to TV ratings with the whole Shawn Michaels thing. It's not Shawn Michaels' fault that either of those things happened. That's a booking problem. We talked about it thoroughly in this podcast. The booking was so fucking dog shit. One of their major storylines was whether or not Shawn Michaels banged Davey Boy's wife. Horrible booking. Okay. There was no reason to tune in when they were doing that. And you had WCW over there kicking ass with the whole NWO thing. So it's not Shawn's fault that happened. That's more of a Vin Man thing than anything. The other thing is we don't know what they were doing ticket sales at venues. We don't know what they were doing merch sales. We don't know if they were actually wildly successful at that point and just not successful from a TV and pay-per-view standpoint. We have no idea. It seems like they weren't successful, but neither of those things are because of Shawn Michaels or Bret Hart. It's 100% because of the booking of the company. Now, the other things that he goes on about, Bret Hart did pit WWF and WCW against each other for his new contract. He did expect loyalty from Vin Man, but when it turned around and it was supposed to be loyalty from him, he didn't show the same loyalty. He was willing to go to WCW. Now Bischoff has stated on his podcast that he never had a deal, but they did float a number briefly, but it was never anything he agreed to. And then Bret Hart seemingly took that number, went back to Vince McMahon, and signed the richest deal in WWE history at that point, which did piss off Shawn. Shawn was upset about that. He said, according to Shawn, he stated, and unfortunately, I don't remember where I saw this, so it may be his book. I can't remember, but you can look it up. Shawn stated that he felt that Bret did not deserve more than him. There was really only one guy in WWF at the time who deserved any more than him, and that was Taker. That was the only person that he felt, okay, you can pay him more than me, but anybody else, no. Because Taker was kind of by that point understood as really the locker room guy. And, Mr. could do everything for you. So he had that respect. But there's a lot of truths in this. There are. And Bret did have an issue dropping the belt to Shawn. And Bret did expect himself to be champion most of the time. Those are realities. With all those truths, I'm sure Bret Hart would disagree, but this is a huge peek back behind the curtain. And like you said, Shawn absolutely shooting here. So it gets a B+ for me. Should be an A. Kind of misses it because of the extra long rant.
Oh, and I'm sure Bret was pissed. If he didn't hate Shawn before, he hates Shawn after that. I mean, that was, whether or not any of it's true or not, or it's, it's Shawn's versions of events versus Bret's versions of events. And whether, I mean, Shawn obviously sees it one way, Bret definitely sees it another. I'm not going to get into all that kind of stuff, but absolutely this is shooting. This is, Shawn is going personal.
Yeah.
And it's a wild promo from that aspect of just that he's just going at it. And it's like, holy shit. Some pretty wild stuff, as I think you mentioned and all that, Owen and Bulldog run out to try and end this because and Shawn gets a chair and he fights him off. And that's kind of where we end it. Cause Bret's not there. Bret's in South Africa or wherever. And so Bulldog and Owen try to come out. I think it would have been great if they came out, just cut the mics or something. I think that would have been a good angle. They just kind of pulled the mic out of so he got cut off or something. But yeah, so that's how it ends. And we go into our second hour, and we've got the Headbangers versus Barry Horowitz and Freddie Joe Floyd. I wonder what's going to happen here.
Gets a C. Headbangers win easily. This is a squash. We haven't seen Barry Horowitz in a long time, so that was kind of cool, but they win.
Yeah, I don't hate Barry Horowitz, but also what?
Yeah.
Just weird tag team action. They announced during this that they're going to be in South Africa next week. They confirmed that for us. 'Cause I don't know if they've said that before, but
No, they have.
we're going to be in
Yeah.
South Africa. Okay, I can't remember specifically. I wrote it down in this one that they make a thing about the fact they're going to be in South Africa. And they also talk up our next match, which is an exhibition match versus Ken Shamrock. No holds barred exhibition match. Ken Shamrock versus Vernon White. I don't know. Two minutes, 5
Ken
seconds.
Shamrock kills this guy. Just absolutely
Yes.
destroys him. Literally to the point where he's a bloody mess. JR interviews
Yes.
Ken Shamrock after this and Shamrock says it was supposed to start as an exhibition match, but he, being his opponent, got a little carried away, so Shamrock lost his temper. Vader comes out and they don't quite fight. This is inappropriate from Ken Shamrock. He does not know that this is inappropriate yet. He's not a wrestler. He's making the transition. I'm giving it a C. But there's going to be a very fun moment very soon where he wrestles Vader and he decides he's going to try to put Vader in his place. And Vader says, "Oh, no, we aren't doing that." And Vader makes it very clear that you be appropriate in the ring, which I think Ken Shamrock actually appreciated much later on in life and said, "Yeah, that was the right call." So this is what it is. But god damn, dude, that dude's
Yeah.
bloody as fuck.
Yeah. Ken treats this like an MMA fight.
Yeah.
And beats the dude's ass for real. And it's bad. I think it's supposed to go longer than it does, but they blow that dude up. And so it's over quick.
I'm sure they had to give him a
and
little
as you
bonus
mentioned,
on the way out.
yeah. Yeah. They paid for his taxi ride. Like, there you go. Just put bloody mess into the taxi. Just take him wherever the hell he wants to go. Just that's it. Hey, 90s wrestling, man, I wouldn't put it past him. But you mentioned Vader just come out because that does lead to our next match where Vader kind of do the same thing. Vader versus Frank Stiletto. And this match is 2 minutes, 25 seconds. Vader says, "You can squash a guy, so can I." But
Yeah.
but Vader does it the way you're supposed to do it.
Yeah. Mankind has a picture in picture, and he says he realizes he did a real bad thing to Taker last week. So he wants to make amends, and he has a presentation later for Taker. I hope you like it, Taker. I picked it out myself just for you. Have a nice day. And then Vader destroys his jobber, and it gets a C.
Yeah. And that's it. After that, though, we're going to talk about the Superstar Hotline. Apparently, there's violence in South Africa or something. I'm like, Jesus, what are we doing? And, and then after that, we got Gorilla Monsoon. Because we can't find Sid. Sid is not there. I guess Sid was supposed to be there. So he's going to get Stone Cold to wrestle Mankind in the main event instead. I guess that's what we're doing.
Yeah, he says that there's only one person he has left that would be a suitable opponent for Mankind, and that's Austin. So he's going to make that match. And then Austin comes over and says, "Well, see, that's where you got a problem, son, because I already wrestled once tonight, and I'm not going to go out there to save your little show. Just because someone doesn't show up because he missed a plane, he's sick. I don't care what the hell is wrong with him. I say he's got a yellow streak running right down the middle of his back. I ain't going out there, going out to the ring because I was signed for my match and I done did it. What do you got to say about that?" Austin threatens Monsoon about how he doesn't care, but you know what? Sid was supposed to have a match here, and he's supposed to have a big match with Bret Hart on April the 20th. So Austin says, "I told Bret he would never be through with me with Steve Austin, and I meant it. If you give me the match on April 20th against Bret the Hitman Hart, then I'll save your ass. But you got to give me the Hitman's ass, or the bottom line is you can kiss my ass." Monsoon says, "We have time, but if Sid doesn't show up, he'll get it." And this is how this ends, and it gets an A+ from me.
Yeah. I I liked it. I thought it was great. We don't know where Sid is. I don't know if this is at some point, I think Sid gets in, like, a car accident or something,
He
and I
gets
don't
hurt
know
at
if
some
this
point.
is
Yeah.
yeah, and I don't know if this is it or if it happened later, and I don't know if this is a legit injury or not. Maybe we'll do some research and find out, because Sid pretty soon does get kind of a serious neck injury that really ends his WWF run. They release him, and I think that happens pretty soon. But we're not there yet, so maybe something happened and that's why he's not here, or this is just a storyline. I assume it's not, though, because why would you have Austin wrestle 2 matches in a night if this was
Yeah.
planned?
Yeah.
I don't. It doesn't seem like it's planned to me. But after that, we go to Mankind, who wants to tell us about his fire throwing ways.
JR asks Mankind what reason he has for what he did last week. Mankind says it's a shame that they exchanged brutal contests, but at the end of the day, Taker never knew him at all. But he knows Taker, who has the finer things in life. He asks if Taker knows what it's like to sit in the back of an airplane with the stench of your own charred flesh in your nostrils for 14 hours. He compares the two men's lives and says he needed to introduce Taker to his life. He says he can't protect his own family because he's on the road 300 days a year, working on his 17th concussion and being spit on by Taker fans. JR asks what kind of match they can expect from Mankind and Taker. And Mankind says, and I loved this, he says, when Oswald shot Kennedy, he was insane, but we all sit glued to the TV and watch the replay over and over. Hey, mom, there goes the pieces of the president's brain. We can't throw Christians to the lions anymore. There are no more public hangings. The closest we have are Taker versus Mankind. Oh, what a beautiful way of saying that. He tells moms not to let their children watch what could very well be his last match. He says he has his reservation in the emergency room and he made one for Taker. At the end of the match, they'll look like twins. Taker's music hits and his voice echoes through the arena. He says, "What do you know of eternal damnation? I know it all too well, and you will soon." He says he will open the vault of souls and unleash the most deadly of demons. You think you know the darkness, pallbearer? I taught you everything you know of the darkness, not what I know. Hell hath no fury like the Undertaker's revenge. I love this kind of stuff personally. It's cheesy, I know, but I fucking think it's great. I gave this an A plus. I thoroughly enjoyed this entire, kind of spooky segment. I loved it.
While you were doing that, I was doing real gumshoe type research
Okay.
on Psycho Sid. And apparently he was in a car crash, but it appears I actually pulled a Associated Press wire story from June 16th, 1997, Monday, June 16th, 1997, that he's in a car crash, fairly serious car crash. And that Flash Funk, Phil LaFon, and Dwight Furnace are in the car too. So it hasn't happened yet, but there is a car crash that
Yeah.
sounds pretty serious and may contribute to his neck injury that ultimately kind of derails his WWF career, but not yet. So I don't know why he's not here, but this is just a gumshoe kind of reporting we do for our listeners. And that brings us to our main event. Mankind versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. 11 minutes, 13 seconds. Tell me.
Because Austin is in this match, he gets the future match he wants against Bret Hart. The two go to town, being Austin and Mankind. Owen and Bulldog get a picture-in-picture where they're disgusted by this outcome and they call it a conspiracy. Austin and Mankind have a great match, and eventually Owen and Bulldog watch from the crowd. They make their way down in the ring. Austin doesn't realize this, but the Legion of Doom come out to support him and chase Owen and Bulldog around. Vader runs down and accidentally hits Mankind, so Mankind just starts firing fists at him. Austin notices Owen and Bulldog, so he chases them off. Paul Bearer has to separate Mankind and Vader, and as the show closes, the two make up. It's wildly entertaining. It's not really a match, but it's very, very entertaining. I gave it a B plus.
Yeah, it's fun. Overall, I think pretty good episode of Raw. Do I even have to say it? Who won? I think it's got to be Raw, right?
Yeah. Raw was way better.
You didn't like NWO completely retconning a good story back into the lame story? You didn't like that?
No, I did not. Hated it.
Oh. Oh, I completely misread your response to that. I thought you loved it. But yeah, I mean that does it. I think Raw was better. It's just a fact. Again, it's kind of wild to me how good Raw is, how soon, right? Like,
Mhm.
because we're in the middle of just absolute WCW week after week dominance,
Yeah.
and they're not good. They're just resting on their NWO laurels. It's wild.
Yeah.
It's wild that it didn't shift sooner than it did. So which is disappointing for me, being the Nitro guy. I think I told you on our watch recently where I watched them with you, and I'm just full of nostalgia and like, "Oh, this is great, I love it."
Yeah.
And then when I watch it again for the purposes of, like, a
Breaking it down.
review, I'm like, "This
Yeah.
shit sucks.
Yeah.
This is crap." You know? Once you get past the nostalgia, it's like, this actually is not very good. And Raw's alright.
Yeah.
I'm liking it. I don't know. Raw wins. That's all I gotta say. You got anything else?
Bye, guys.